Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of sources, crunch the data, and deliver the insights you need to be truly well-informed. Today, we are diving deep into what really builds emotional resilience in our kids. If you follow any parenting trends, you've seen the terms everywhere. Gentle parenting, respectful, conscious parenting, they all promise this really connected, emotionally intelligent relationship. But are they just, trendy names, or is there a core set of evidence-based tools that actually work? Our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to map these modern approaches against really the gold standard of psychological science, authoritative parenting, and from there, pull out the practical things you can use starting today to shift from being reactive to truly responsive.
Right. And to map that terrain, we really have to start where all the data begins.
Yeah.
And that's with the psychologist Diana Baumrien's 4 foundational parenting styles. These are all defined by a balance between two really crucial dimensions. First is demandingness. That's your rule, your expectations.
Structure.
The structure, exactly. And the second is responsiveness, which is all about warmth and support. And the style that, consistently produces the best outcomes, we're talking children who show self-reliance, critical thinking, really effective emotion management, is authoritative parenting.
Okay.
You can think of it as the warm commander. It's high demands plus high responsiveness. It says, I love you unconditionally, and because of that, I expect you to try hard.
And when that balance gets broken, the research shows some pretty clear consequences. So you get authoritarian parenting, which is all those high demands, but very low warmth. That's the my way or the highway approach.
Exactly. And that approach is associated with kids who tend to struggle with anxiety. They have difficulty making independent decisions. And often they have low self-esteem because their feelings just weren't seen as a priority. They learn to obey out of fear, not, any real understanding.
Then you flip that and you get the permissive or indulgent style. So very few demands, but lots and lots of warmth. Loving, but no structure.
And that lack of structure, it leads to really predictable struggles with self-regulation, with impulse control, and sometimes social difficulties or even delinquency because they just never learned how to navigate limits comfortably.
And then the last one, rounding out the 4, is the least effective style, which is uninvolved or neglectful. Just low on both counts, low responsiveness and low demandingness.
And that lack of presence is tied to things like developmental delays and more severe internalizing issues like increased depressive symptoms later on.
So that authoritative sweet spot, high support, high structure, that's the anchor we keep coming back to.
It's the anchor.
Okay, so let's unpack how these modern movements connect to that anchor. A lot of them really start with respectful parenting, which is often associated with Magda Gerber's RE philosophy.
Right, RIE, or Resources for Infant Educators. And her focus was so heavily on those first 2 years of life, on building that deep, trusting relationship from day one. RE really asks parents to take a kind of philosophical leap of faith, to treat the infant, even the one who can't speak yet, as a whole, capable person who deserves respect. This means, communicating with them about what you're doing. So, for example, saying, I am going to lift you now, instead of just scooping them up without any warning.
I was actually surprised by this insight from the sources on RE. It's not just about the child. It offers this really unexpected lifeline for the parent, too. It's a powerful way to prevent burnout.
Yes.
We live in this age of what they call intensive parenting, where you feel this pressure to constantly fill all the space, to entertain and stimulate and teach every single moment.
And the respectful approach gives you, the parent, permission to just step back, to just be. It really counters that compulsion. You don't have to be your child's cruise director 24/7.
Right.
When you observe, instead of always interfering, you create space for yourself, and you also create space for your child's natural competence to just emerge.
And that leads directly into what the sources call the dependency trap. Because if we're always jumping in to finish a task for them, zipping a coat, solving some problem they're wrestling with, we're inadvertently sending a message. And that message is, you can't handle this without me.
That learned helplessness, which is fostered by constant rescuing or directing, is why we see this link in the research. A link between those intensive parenting styles and, young adults who really struggle to launch, or who feel paralyzed making big, independent decisions about their career or their life.
Yeah.
True confidence isn't about being good at everything. It's that quiet, secure belief that, I can handle whatever challenges come my way.
And when we treat a child with that kind of respect, we build something absolutely crucial, a feeling of deep safety. And that feeling brings us right to attachment theory.
It does. The core goal of our whole attachment system is to achieve what John Bowlby called felt security.
Felt security. So that's just a deep internal knowledge that you're safe, you're understood, and you're supported by your caregivers.
That's it exactly. It becomes the child's secure base. It's what allows them to confidently go explore the playground or tackle a hard math problem. They know that when things get stressful, they can always come back to that secure base for comfort.
And we build that secure base not through being perfect, but through consistency, specifically through a process called co-regulation.
And this isn't just a clinical term. It's this dynamic back and forth process where you, the caregiver, basically loan your child your calm nervous system until they can build their own.
So it's a developmental process.
It is. I mean, think about it with an infant. An infant cries, and a parent soothes them, rocking them, using a calm voice. The child's nervous system learns, through that repeated experience, how to shift from distress back to calm.
They internalize it.
They internalize those strategies, and that capacity gradually becomes their own self-regulation. It's really the highest form of learning.
So the most precise tool for that, for building that self-regulation, is what the sources call emotion coaching. This is how you translate parental warmth into tangible emotional literacy.
Right. It requires parents to be really aware of and accepting of their child's negative emotions, and then to actively help them deal with those feelings constructively, whether it's frustration or anger or fear.
And the evidence for this is huge, right?
It's incredibly powerful. Emotion coaching is consistently linked to kids who have better control over their emotions, their behavior, their attention. But what really stands out is its resilience factor.
A resilience factor.
Yeah, this coaching method actually buffers kids from internalizing symptoms like anxiety and depression. Even when they're in really high-stress family environments, it's like a psychological suit of armor.
Psychological suit of armor. I love that. But here's the challenge, and this is what trips up a lot of parents. When do we actually do the coaching? We tend to think the teaching has to happen right in the middle of a, floor-pounding meltdown.
And that is the biggest misconception. The research is so clear on this. Emotion knowledge and that capacity for self-regulation are built primarily through daily, low-stakes, non-crisis conversations.
Okay, so not in the heat of the moment.
Not in the heat of the moment. It's when you're using nuanced emotional language to discuss the causes and the consequences of feelings. It's chatting about why a character in a book is sad or talking about why their friend was angry yesterday.
Because in the middle of a dysregulated episode, the child is basically in fight or flight. Their logic is just, it's gone.
Completely inaccessible. Trying to talk through the principles of sharing when a toddler is screaming because their toy broke is it's impossible. The immediate goal in a meltdown is pure emotional regulation, not cognitive instruction.
And if you try to lecture then?
You'll just escalate it. Especially with a sensitive or deeply feeling kid, you can make it so much worse. It's like throwing a grenade on the play.
So if direct talk is a grenade, what does co-regulation look like right then, in that moment?
The strategy shifts. It becomes about containment and presence. You stay physically present, you wait it out, you model calm breathing. If they don't want to be touched, you respect that, but you stay close.
So you're just an anchor.
You're an anchor. And for some kids, you can join their emotional bubble indirectly. If they're, say, aggressively stacking blocks and knocking them over, you might grab a little figure and say in a playful voice, "Wow, that little guy looks so frustrated that the tower keeps falling. What should we do?"
So you're labeling the emotion within their activity. You're not demanding they snap out of it to talk to you.
Exactly. That distinction is so useful.
Okay, so once we master that responsive side, the validation, the connection, we have to move to the other half of the authoritative mandate, which is guidance, structure, and boundaries.
And here we have to remember the philosophy of Haim Gunot. He said that parents need a kind of Hippocratic oath. Primum non nocere first, do no harm.
So above all, don't damage a child's self-worth while you're disciplining them.
Precisely. Which means we have to draw a very sharp line between discipline and punishment. Punishment, especially harsh punishment, it's a shortcut. It just makes kids resentful and angry. But positive discipline, that's about encouragement, problem solving, and building actual life skills. It teaches, it doesn't just inflict.
And setting firm boundaries is the definition of discipline, but you're saying it has to be done without shame.
Without shame. The essential tool here is the validation script. It separates the emotion, which is always valid, from the action, which might not be okay.
Okay, give me an example. Let's say the tough one, hitting or biting.
Right. So you don't deny their anger. You get down on their level and say something like, I won't let you hurt me. You're really angry, and that's okay. Let's find another way to show it.
You're validating the feeling while stopping the behavior.
Exactly. Or the classic battle of leaving the park. Instead of arguing, you validate. Leaving feels so hard when you're having fun. I know, it's sad to stop. I'm going to help you go now. And the key is you have to follow through. You calmly carry them or guide them out, modeling that calm leadership. Your calm presence is the boundary.
That follow-through piece brings us to consequences. The idea that they should be a product of a child's choice, not some punitive act from an angry parent.
And we look at two main types, natural and logical. Natural consequences are great because they require no adult intervention at all. They just happen.
Like if a kid overloads their backpack with toys.
The natural consequence is that the bag is way too heavy to carry. They learn cause and effect instantly.
And illogical consequences.
Those are set by the parent, but they are directly linked to the choice. So if the rule is toys get cleaned up before bed and they don't, a logical consequence is we won't take those toys out tomorrow. We can try again when we feel ready to manage them. It's about teaching responsibility, not making the child suffer.
So after that tough moment is over, the hitting, the park meltdown,
No.
we don't just sweep it under the rug.
Right.
This is where the sources talk about the 3 R's for co-regulation.
Right. The first R is regulate. This is the parent's job, your internal work. You have to be calm first. You are the anchor.
Okay, regulate first, then.
The second R is relate. You reconnect. This means physical affection, a hug, a soft tone. You could say, you did a really good job finding your calm just now. That felt so big. That reconnection rebuilds trust.
And the last R is reason. Only after the child is fully calm and their thinking brain is back online do you discuss what happened.
And you keep it short. Use simple emotion labels, brainstorm alternatives for next time, and you end it clearly and powerfully with, I love you. The whole chat should take, like, 90 seconds, max.
The entire framework seems to rely so heavily on predictability.
It does. The experts all highlight that consistency in applying rules and consequences is paramount. It reduces confusion. Kids thrive in stable, predictable structures.
And that consistency has to start with us, the parents. Kids have this finely tuned sense of fairness.
Oh, absolutely.
They really struggle when an adult sets a rule and then breaks it themselves. You have to model the behavior. Show them. Don't just tell them. Nobody likes being lectured.
Especially not a child. And for kids who really struggle with that internal organization of life, focus, planning, impulse control, what we call executive function deficits, that structural scaffolding is absolutely vital.
So how do we build that scaffolding?
With clear routines and habits. A specific, predictable order of tasks. First breakfast, then teeth, then getting dressed. You also have to simplify complex tasks through chunking.
So instead of clean your room, which is overwhelming,
You break it down. First, put away your books. Second, put away the Legos. Discrete, manageable steps.
and what about transitions? Moving from something fun to something not so fun.
The transition warning is a simple but game-changing tool, giving 10, 5, and 1-minute countdowns before you switch from video games to homework. It gives their brain time to prepare. It just brings the emotional temperature way down.
For more complex challenges, like, say, ODD or severe ADHD behaviors, there's an even higher fidelity version of this authoritative model. It's called collaborative problem solving, or CPS.
And CPS is brilliant because it completely avoids the parent-child power struggle.
Yeah.
It starts with the assumption that the child wants to do well, but they lack the necessary neurocognitive skills, flexibility, frustration tolerance.
So the goal isn't demanding compliance.
No, the goal shifts to teaching those lagging skills.
And this is done through a process called Plan B. So step 1 is the empathy step. You gather the child's concern.
And the inquiry is neutral, it's curiosity-driven. You say, I've noticed that it's really hard for you to turn off your phone at 8 p.m. What's up with that? And then you just listen. No judgment.
Step 2 is defining the problem. This is where the adult states their concern.
Right. You say, my concern is that when the phone stays on late, you're still tired in the morning, and then you miss the school bus. You link the two concerns together.
And then step 3, the invitation.
The collaborative core. You work together to find a solution that works for both of you. Maybe they need a 15-minute warning, or maybe the charging station needs to be outside their room. The process frames accountability not as punishment, but as shared skill development.
So when you pull it all together, from the quiet respect of RIE to the clear expectations of CPS, what really emerges is this powerful unity. The most effective strategies combine that unconditional warmth of relational approaches, like emotion coaching, with the high, consistent boundaries we've been talking about.
That's the authoritative mandate in practice.
But wait a minute. When I am absolutely exhausted, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep, and my child is in hour 2 of tantrum.
Hmm.
How am I honestly supposed to be the calm anchor? Isn't that an unfair expectation for a parent who is in the trenches?
That is probably the most important question we can ask, and the sources are really clear. This style requires continuous parental self-regulation. If you are struggling with your own stress or chronic exhaustion, you are structurally unable to provide that calm, regulated anchor.
So what you're saying is parental health care isn't a luxury.
It is not a luxury. It's not a spa day. It is absolutely vital for your mental health and for your efficacy as a regulator. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And that has to start with filling your own cup first.
That is such a critical reminder for everyone listening. This deep dive really confirms that the science of responsive parenting is incredibly strong. It's built on decades of psychological data. But as you apply these concepts, it's so important to remember that cultural context matters a lot. While these fundamental ideas like emotional responsiveness, the what are universal, the specific parenting practices, the how, those can vary widely across cultures.
Hmm.
The success of this science really rests on your ability to adapt these universal principles to your child's unique profile and your specific environment.
That's a great point.
And if you want to dive even deeper on that, a final thought to explore is the difference between emic and etic approaches in psychological studies. It's a fascinating layer to add to your knowledge.